but you talked briefly about personification. I think the earliest example I can think of is I've never said no as much as I say to YouTube Premium, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Every time I go on YouTube Premium, they ask me, do I want to sign up for YouTube Premium? And this is almost like every day, right? Even though I've said no, right? But an interesting example of trying to make this more personalized to myself. But
Hmm.
in as much as marketing, I think it all boils down to their marketing function. How are
Yeah.
these products being marketed? And just looking at the marketing function, I feel like there's a fine line between personification and data privacy,
Yes.
right? Because in as much as if you know as much as a lot of information about myself, obviously you will be able to offer me solutions, right? But it gets to a point where you've gone beyond trying to personalize it into my private information,
Yeah.
right? And just judging by your experience, I know you see it on the UK government or Parliament group task force, right? And you're also part of the, I think it's called RAD AI or RAID. I'm not really
It's the AI and Ethics Journal.
sure.
Yeah,
And
RAD AI is a private, separate company, but as you say, the All Party Parliamentary Group and the AI and Ethics Journal.
okay, so I know that this is one of the problems you're trying to solve. How do you solve this? What are your advice for kind of something of this
Mm.
sort?
The start point is regulation. So think in Europe, and I know the UK is not part of Europe, but with GDPR, we do have a clause that we should be abiding by that talks about making sure transparent that we are transparent about our data. So it's really important that we abide as companies, as in by these regulations. It's quite early days, and so new regulations and guides and codes of conduct are important too. But as a company, we should be thinking about ideal ethical behavior is one that doesn't harm, doesn't contribute to um, harmful social structures, doesn't exploit people's data for for purposes, commercial purposes that they have oppressed them or that they haven't asked for, and so on. So um, there's that side of it. And like I said, with when we give our consent to a company like TGI Fridays or whoever it might be, then they know they can use our data, and then they need to do so ethically, going by their standards and so on. So I think it's really important. I think the way that we train the algorithms, AI is only as good as those programming it. So we need clean data, again, that isn't inherently biased to a certain gender or color, or and so on. So it's a very complex set of questions, but really, really important ones. And there are lots of institutes around the world, and political bodies and governments that are building their strategies to combat and to join together and to communicate all of these important things.